So that's recording. We've got Peggy in the audience and Robert Gorski.
Robert Gorski too. Okay.
And then we've got a phone number. Sam, is this your phone number?
It's a little garbled, but I see somebody's phone number there.
Yeah, I think that's Sam.
Test?
Yep. Okay, I've got you.
All right, thanks.
We'll give it another minute or two to see who jumps on.
Oh, and here we've got Nan.
Joey, did you see Gary's on the call?
Not at the moment. It looks like we're getting a little bit of feedback, so if everybody could mute while we're at the point where you're not speaking, then we'll have you jump on. That seems better. All right, Tony. Looks like we're good to go. I will keep an eye out for another phone number to jump on if Jerry joins us.
Thank you.
Oh, we do have a phone number up here.
Jerry, are you on this call?
I be.
Okay, great. Great. Do you think it's a good time to call this to order, 7:02?
Who's chairing tonight?
If you don't feel comfortable chairing tonight, we can always ask Commissioner Erickson or Smedilla or somebody. You don't want to chair the meeting, Jerry?
I don't have access to. I'm on a landline, telephone.
Okay.
I'm not on the screen, so it'd be probably more beneficial if somebody who's online with the screen and everything.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Kirsten, would you please do the honors tonight?
Sure, Tony. All right, well then let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to call to order tonight's Economic Development Commission meeting, January 11th, 2021. Can we go ahead and do a roll call?
Yes, Jerry Cabasco,
Here.
Kirsten Erickson,
Here.
Robert Perry, absent, Tracy Smedilla,
Here.
Nanette Gutenkopf,
Here.
Joe Laporte,
Here.
Adam Lewinsky, not here, Michelle Hughes, Ms. Hughes? I saw her there. Our newest commissioner, Robert.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. There you are. And Commissioner Gorski, I saw you as well. You are. Thank you. We have 7 commissioners tonight, and we have a quorum +2.
Perfect. All right, let's move on to the approval of the minutes. Would anyone like to have any comments or the December 14th, 2020 minutes?
we're seeking a motion to approve the minutes.
Yes, sorry. Motion to approve the minutes. December 20th, I'm sorry, December 14th, 2020.
I'll second if you need a second, Nan.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Please note me as an abstention. I was not able to access the minutes online and was not at the December 14th meeting.
Okay, I'll still note that.
Thank you.
Move on to our next item, item number 4 for public comment. Do we have any public comments this evening?
The only people in the public we have is the petitioner.
Thank you, Joey.
All right. Then we'll move forward to item number 5, O'Hara's Pub and Restaurant BEDA application.
Thank you. If you could forward the slide as well, Joey. So you all know O'Hara's Pub and Restaurant, but for some brief background, they've been operating a business in the village for over 7 years now. If you recall, they originally came into town very late in 2013. They took over the business and the end of the lease for the village's first Irish pub that was called Sheep and Fiddle over there in the Bartlett Square Shopping Plaza on Army Trail Road. They really upgraded that business nicely and marketed very well and provided great food, started attracting more and more customers. So the husband and wife owners, by the way, the petitioners, Bill Vance and Peggy O'Hare Vance, they expanded across the street from here in Village Hall right into Bartlett Town Center in late 2016. Now, they've both been, and their whole team has been very active in the community. You've seen their participation in lots of events over the years, which helps get their names and faces out there in the community. They're very well known and have participated in events like the 4th of July and Heritage Days and most of the parades that have been downtown. They're members, active members of the Chamber of Commerce, Bartlett Women's Club, and other organizations throughout the community. So this particular expansion, here they are 4 years later, looking to expand once again into the new and improved streets of Bartlett Shopping Plaza that, as you all know, had been known as Bartlett Plaza for about 4 decades since it was built prior to Mr. Rafidia purchasing it a couple years ago. So this expansion and relocation is also in conjunction with a bowling alley. If anybody hadn't heard yet, there's a new bowling alley coming to this location as well. This is the remainder of the former Bartlett Fresh Market grocery space. So at our EDC meetings, if we were to turn back the clock and go about 2 years ago tonight, we had Mr. Rafidia, let's say 2.5 years ago, Mr. Rafidia telling us about his plans to build out the shopping center and to upgrade it and divide up the grocery space. I happen to remember that was about 31,000 square feet because I spent about 8 years trying to attract another store to that location. Long story short is this O'Hare's expansion is going to be part of the remaining space available at the former grocery space in conjunction with the bowling alley. So this project is going to bring it to near 100% full occupancy. Just one little 1,200 square foot space may be still available after this project. So I'm going to get into some of the nuts and bolts of this project quickly before I turn it over to Peggy and Bill if he wants to speak. But also I wanted to point out as part of this BEDA program, before I get into the dollar amounts, in addition to bringing this center to full occupancy and the significant investment you're going to hear about them making, they're also reporting that they're going to most likely need 8 additional full-time staff with this expansion, as well as additional part-time staff. As you know, it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular venue in the northwest suburbs for the St. Patrick's Day week, but also for other holidays where they might have to ramp up staff. So next slide, please. So this BEDA application, I want to note also, this is the first one with the new application. They actually started working on it under the old application, and I know there's not a lot of significant changes, but the one that we had last month for the small bakery was the last one that you'll be seeing under the old application. So pretty exciting this beginning of a new year to have a new application of this magnitude. So Peggy O'Hare Vance is the one who submitted the application. Very detailed, I might add, and I'm sure you've seen all the paperwork that she submitted. And she cites that the total project cost of this will come out to $276,492 per an updated spreadsheet that she had submitted after the initial application. I just want to note that when she wrote $259,000 on her original application, as things tend to go, some of the items were more costly, and there were some additional costs that came in to raise that estimate to $276,000. However, when we did change the BEDA program last month, one thing that we didn't change, actually we changed it this month, we don't count the architectural costs, even though they can be significant. So we're reducing our own staff estimate of the cost of this project by $6,300. So we're calling it $270,000 even. I'm sure it'll come out $1,000 or $2,000 or possibly more than that. So let me be clear, this number includes a full build out. I'm not going to go, just like with 120 Live, I'm not going to read out everything that they're doing with it that comes up to this number. But keep in mind, they're taking about a 4,500 square foot portion of a former dilapidated and highly neglected former grocery store space that had been vacant for almost 10 years and doing a full build out. So if you want to ask what they're building out, it's everything. They had to start by excavating the floor. There were a few weeks there where they were just digging out the old floor. So there's new floor. It has to be fully rewired for electric, fire suppression, of course, plumbing, framing, a new cooler system, a hood, cables, all their kitchen equipment, painting, a new bar top, and I say on more, because those are the big ticket items that altogether probably come out to $250,000 worth of improvements doing those. If you could forward the next slide, please, Joey. So this is kind of a recap before I turn it over. You're turning a vacant, like I said, a vacant former grocery store for many years into a new state-of-the-art restaurant, expanded restaurant from about 1,000 square feet larger than what they have now. They are going to be the food vendor for the new bowling alley. So it's going to be kind of a tandem business. It's going to be connected. And if you order food in the bowling alley, it's going to come from O'Hare's. A quick recap about the BEDA grants in that shopping center. For those of you who've been on the EDC for a while, you recall that Mr. Rafidia, the owner of the center, was one of the early applicants to the BEDA program. And he applied both in 2018 and 2019. The portion of the shopping center that O'Hare's and the bowling alley is going into, and some of the other businesses there, that's was in the first phase that came in here in 2018 when he started building it out and separated the space. If you recall, for Arminetti liquor store was the first tenant in that portion. So October 2018 and then September of 2019. So in terms of changing the BEDA program to being eligible for 2 years, we're looking at this as the follow-up from the October of 2018 BEDA application. That's taking into consideration our recent change from a 2-year eligibility, from a 3-year period of eligibility back to a 2-year period of eligibility. And that's one of the ones we were thinking this might play out for, was finishing out some of Streets of Bartlett. So with all things considered in terms of having an existing business expand in our village for the second time into their third location, we're happy for them to do that. Their very active nature in the community, the significant investment that they're making. Our staff is recommending a maximum BEDA grant amount. As you recall, the maximum amount that we would grant in this program is $50,000. So of course, quick reminder, that would be payable upon completion of all of the above. Every single thing must be built up to code, from the plumbing to the light fixtures, to the fire suppression, to all the food equipment. So these are typically paid out once somebody completes the entire project, passes all inspections, and then gets their certificate of occupancy. A grant in that amount would come out to 18.5% of their total project costs. And so I've been talking about their business now for about 15 minutes. And I understand that the petitioners are there in the Zoom audience.
Yeah.
So it gives me pleasure to turn it over to, I believe Peggy O'Hare Vance is also here to answer any questions or to present, to fill you in on some further details.
Great. This is Peggy, and I'm here with Bill and our son, Stephen, who has moved to Bartlett also to help us put this off the ground. And we are looking for an open date of March 1st of 2021. We certainly don't want to miss another St. Patrick's Day. So definitely want to thank the EDC for considering this and for all the work that Tony Fraden has certainly done to bring us to the floor here for you tonight. So we're here to answer any questions you also have. We've done a little research with the bowling alley, so I will share that there's a considerable opening to flow from O'Hare's to the bowling alley, about a 12-foot door, I believe.
Yes.
And so it's going to be a very open concept, and it really should be very fun and bring families to the downtown Bartlett area. So I'm here for questions. If anyone would like to go over anything that I've submitted, like I said, Bill's here, and if you want to say anything.
We're just excited for the opportunity. And
Oh,
Sorry.
that went kind of loud.
I'm sorry.
no, we're just very excited about the opportunity for this growth opportunity, and are looking very forward to the number of families that we can bring in and add a little additional fun for everybody in the community.
And hey, Peggy, this is Scott from the Village. Thank you for joining us tonight. Just for the
Yes.
commission's ear, you also have several pool tables, and I believe you're doing a kids party room as well, correct?
Yes. So joining to, and most of that you would call that in the bowling alley side though. So I don't know if that's what you want to hear about. Like the O'Hare side is going to have darts, and it's going to have video gaming that's going to have golden tea, and then some pinball. But then there's a 12-foot opening through the dining room joining to the bowling alley. There's going to be quite a few arcade games for the young people. There's going to be 6 pool tables. There's going to be 2 air hockey tables. And there's a designated area that is designed to be shaped and tables put in according to the request for parties. So we would be able to do bowling parties, midnight bowling, that sort of thing, but also for parties for the young people. The seating at the bowling alley space is really quite large, and you would actually be able to have a party on the lane also, with seating within the lane and right behind the lane. It's very open. It's just called an open style, and it's very inviting for people to participate and watch people bowling, and keep an eye on the young people. So that part is, we call that on the bowling side. The bowling side at this point is called Midway Landing, and we'll be running that also.
Bob, it looks like you're trying to speak and we can't make you out at the moment.
That's Bob.
Yeah, Mr. Gorski.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't make out anything.
Mr. Gorski, if you would could type it into the chat, we could get your question there. He said he's going to call in, so we'll just give him a moment.
Okay, great.
Oh.
This is Tracy Smodilla. Do you mind if I ask a couple of questions while we're waiting for Bob to sign back in?
Certainly.
Thank you. And Peggy, Bill, thank you very much for your optimism. I mean, we've enjoyed your restaurant since you guys were over in DuPage County, and certainly being a little bit closer in Cook, it's great for us. And I think many, we're getting feedback from somebody. Hello?
Yep.
We can hear you, Tracy.
Okay, that's great. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue on. So,
Okay.
Thank you for your optimism, and I absolutely love the idea that this is really going to turn into really a very much of a family-friendly enterprise. And I know that we've been looking for, one, expansion of our restaurants, especially in the days of COVID, and 2, certainly another entertainment center. But a couple of questions I have based on the proposal that you've submitted, and certainly the expansion is, again, under the heading of optimism. How many? You're obviously expanding your occupancy. How do you expect to, cover some of the expenses that you're investing and still make it when there's still a lot of uncertainty with COVID? And I guess a better way to rephrase that would be is, where are you guys at year to date since COVID impacted so many of our businesses?
If you're just referring to the close of 2020, how our year to date sales were?
Yeah.
If we had not closed, we would have been well over $1 million.
Okay.
We chose to close a little earlier. It wasn't our interest to close, but the sales were so low that we just started winding down after that second closure announcement in October.
Okay.
We let the food and everything run out, but when we were open for the 6 months, we gave it all we had, especially this summer. We brought in music, we brought in line dancing. We did a lot for ourselves too, because we want to see the people and we wanted to be outside. So we did as much as we could with that outdoor seating situation. But I feel very, very certain we would have been well over $1 million too, had we not had the shutdown. the carry out wasn't our business at all. Like carry out didn't work for us. That's not what the essence of our place was.
Right.
It's social and it's the neighborhood.
Right.
So anyway, we feel like we were going to do just great. And we lost two big things. You know, we lost the holidays with this second shutdown, but that first shutdown, we lost out on St. Patrick's Day. It was a blow. Believe me, it was definitely a
Absolutely.
big blow.
No, I feel for you. We have
Yeah.
friends who have lost their businesses in the city. So
Yeah.
again, we're encouraged by the fortitude of our Bartlett businesses. But so I guess you and Bill are both remaining very, very optimistic that the government isn't going to employ any more draconian measures that shut the restaurants down completely.
Yes, I agree. I say my prayers every night, I'll tell you, but it can't go on forever. You know, we're social, we need to get out. So we're out there, we're putting all our faith out there. Absolutely. And it's with the support of the village too, with their approval of us having the outdoor seating and
Right.
what they've done to support things. We have this big center now. And Manny Rafidia had a few of us get together, and as the businesses for that area, we gave out free turkeys together around the holidays. And we were all talking about what we need to do to bring activity to the center that we're in now, not unlike what I did before. But now I've got people like Lisa's Dance. She's always wanting activities. Now we've got Kim over from Magnolia for her venue. Of course, we have now 4 great restaurants there. We've got Pasta Mia, Delish, ourselves, and One Taco, 4 completely different restaurants. And
Right.
now it's going to be a center of activity.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more of a destination then, which I think is really important for
Exactly.
I think the retail and the entertainment industry to survive. So
Mhm.
then I think it's great that we've got this BEDA program, and certainly I'll wait for the other commissioners to weigh in on it. But just one thing that I want to bring up that's on my mind is, especially for the small business community, is the governor just announced about a $500 billion tax hike on the small businesses.
Yeah.
And so when programs like this at the very, very local level can help, I'm encouraged by that. But again, I hope that we all stand united in pushing back on, again, measures that are just gonna, I think, do more small businesses in rather than
Right.
buoy them, particularly in unprecedented times. So thank you for staying in Bartlett. Thanks for the expansion. And we look forward to seeing you and in many, many more successful years to come.
Thank you, Tracy,
Thank you.
very much. We certainly love Bartlett. It's our third, and I pray last location, but everyone has been for great situations, great opportunities, and this one is the best opportunity. I think it's good for all of us.
Great. I think you'll be in good company over there.
Yes.
Hey, this is Joe Laporte.
Hey, Joe.
I think the timing is good. If you guys are, if everything's on track for March 1st, the vaccines have been rolled out.
Yeah.
The election hopefully will be over. Hospitality months are generally, January, February, where it's real slow because of post-Christmas. So you guys are doing the construction now.
Yeah.
I think March 1st, April, people are going to be ready to get out of the house.
Right.
And I think timing is on your side, I think, my opinion.
I wanted to add something. I think Commissioner Smedilla really hit her point on the head about the concerns with the governor and pushback and COVID. But, $50,000 is something that we don't take lightly.
No.
And when we recommend, it's a lot of money. But when we make a recommendation of this nature, it's with a 10-year lens or 5-year lens. So I think that's something to take into consideration when you're thinking about this grant.
Well, I mean, that's part of what we're doing with the current environment.
We're on. Are we on mute?
We can hear you.
Oh, we
Oh,
heard
go
you.
ahead. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, with the COVID, obviously the hospitality industry has been crushed. But, now that the vaccines are starting to come out, once this stuff gets a little more under control and everything's open up, I think people are just going to be dying to get out. They've been locked up for a year, and so we're looking for the expansion as well as the bowling alley to just explode because people want to get out and do things and see people.
Commissioner Gorski asked, how does the table set up in the new space compared to the table set up in the old space? Peggy and Bill want to chime in on that.
Go ahead.
Well, we have an actual vestibule area. So when you come in, there's actually somewhere to stand while your table's being prepared. And the way the location is laid out, you come in and there's a relatively low ceiling. And then as you continue into the restaurant, it opens up to a 14-foot ceiling. So it's kind of a unique floor plan, but we'll have 5 or 6, possibly 7 low top tables. We're going to have 3 large stationary 8-foot tables for groups. Then we'll have a substantial number of high top tables. We're going to have probably 14 TVs plus a big screen projector TV as well for all the sports fans.
So what the table setup does for us, although we do get an additional 18 to possibly 24 seats, the extra square footage allows for much more spacing between all of the tables and chairs. So we really like that a lot. Just even if we're all out, there's a lot of people aren't going to be ready for, being close together. So we're completely prepared to have plenty of spacing between the tables. Did that answer everybody? Hey, Michelle.
This is Commissioner Hughes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Peggy and Bill. As one of the members of a group of sports families, we frequently find ourselves at your place where we're putting together tables and the kids are playing golden tees. So it'll be exciting to have a new place to go and maybe a couple more options for some of the kids. But my question is related to spacing as well. I know right now you've been the beneficiary of being able to go outside, utilize some of the tents, and I know some of the your neighbors in that Bartlett Plaza there will have their own outdoor seating. Now, what does that look like for you in this new space? Will you have outdoor seating available?
Very much so. We have
Okay.
actually a covered patio.
Nice.
And the nice thing here is being that it is covered and there's no blowers blowing out front, it's quieter. It's not as hot. We are thinking about putting a couple outdoor TVs out there as well for anybody who wants to sit outside and watch a game or what have you. We're thinking we may be able to seat 20 people outside on our patio. So, and then inside will hold 18 to 20 more on the inside.
Well, that'll be very exciting. Thank you. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Bill and Peggy, this is Commissioner Kirsten Erickson. I just have a quick question about the video gaming. I did see you guys are increasing your machines. How many did you have and how many will you have?
The most anybody can have is 6.
Okay.
So that's it. At the end of it, we did have 6 on the Main Street location. I think that came in at the beginning of 2016, the 6 machines. Might have been the end of 2019. I lost track a little bit, but when we were being closed, we did have 6 there. So that is, and we're going to have the same layout. It's going to be in its separate room. It's going to be towards the back.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be anywhere near the front where the kids will see arcade games.
And I did see that, and I was just wondering how impactful is that for you guys being successful? Because I know that that is such a great source of revenue for everybody. And I'm kind of thinking with this new layout, that's probably going to be a little bit more successful than it had been in the past with having more people, flowing through the business and everything. So how do you guys see that playing into your final profitability?
Well, we have heard that the location and the fact that it's sort of at the back of the bar where it's kind of where adults are only, that we should be able to actually double the income from those machines at least. The experience that Manny has with some of his other locations, he feels very, very confident about that. So we are fully expecting to at least double. And then also in this location, we're going to be able to be open more hours. Because it's active all day. The post office is active. There's the hair salons. So it's a different amount of hours. So that's going to add to the opportunity to get revenue from them.
Great. And I mean, I just think that you guys have been such good supporters, and I think that you guys have had such great support. I mean, the whole Bartlett to Go page, you guys have certainly gotten a lot of play from that. You guys are certainly supporting it enough. I mean, and obviously you guys have done a lot to support the village, the different venues, the different places, the different organizations. So I think that this is a really kind of good, exciting time for you guys to have this third place and this new thing. It's like the third term is like the end all be all, where it was supposed to evolve to.
3 times a charm.
Yeah, I'm telling you that's, luck of the Irish.
Well, Bartlett has supported us. We love it here. This is where, at the time our twin grandsons were going to be here, but we're committed to the success of Bartlett, and that reflects in the business. We have been growing continually. We were actually to a point of running out of space where we were. So the timing of Mr. Rafidia approaching us for this, it was just, heaven sent. So this is just going to be perfect, I think. We're excited because Bartlett's excited and Bartlett's supportive.
Do any of the other commissioners have any other comments? All right. Well, if there's no further comments from anybody, I think that this would be a good time to go ahead and entertain a motion in support of what the village is asking us. Tony and Scott have put together a presentation asking for the 18.5%, which would result in the maximum amount of $50,000. So if anyone would like to go ahead and entertain a motion.
This is Commissioner Smedilla, and I move to approve the recommendation from village staff to award a BEDA grant of $50,000 to Peggy O'Hare, Vance, and Bill Vance for the expansion of O'Hare's Pub.
Bill Laporte, second the motion.
Second. I second it. This is Jerry.
Okay.
I can call roll.
That would be great. Tony, go ahead and call roll.
Okay. Nanette Gutenkopf.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. Kirsten Erickson.
In favor.
Robert Gorski. Maybe he can message or in the chat.
He's giving a thumbs up.
Okay. Michelle Hughes.
Yes.
Jerry Cabasco.
Yes.
Tracy Smedilla.
Yes.
And Joe Laporte.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We will bring that to the village board committee at an upcoming meeting, and we'll let you, Peggy and Bill, know exactly when that will be. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All right, let's move on to item number 6, the branding discussion, Tony.
Yes, let's call this the branding the preliminary branding discussion. Now, going way back in time. and
Hold on
let's-
1 second, Tony. We're getting some feedback. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I'm gonna introduce this by saying when I started with the village in 2005, at that point, Jerry Cabasco and Kirsten Erickson were on the EDC. And the branding that we used to use for the village at that time was all Bartlett pear related. And a lot of the advertisements that the village used to run would actually say Bartlett and you make a great pair or something to that effect. There was a lot of pair related branding. So at that time, the mayor and board wanted to go on to change the branding of the village, up the game, so to speak, and also to increase our advertising. And so the EDC moved to the never far away type of branding slogan that we use today. But doing some backtracking about branding in general, it's an important facet of marketing a community. Where we operate here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago and the suburbs as a whole, it's a very competitive area when it comes to attracting new businesses, whether it's industrial businesses or retailers or restaurants. It's competitive when it comes to bringing new housing developers and residents to move to the community. So it can be very difficult and challenging to distinguish yourself if you're trying to say what's different about Bartlett than say Streamwood or Glen Ellen or Wheaton or Hoffman Estates or Elgin or whatever the case may be. So branding is part of a key part of trying to take steps to set your town, or just like with a retail brand, trying to set yourself apart and distinguish yourself from the others. So like I said, the last time we looked at this was 15 long years ago. It took several months of discussions and brainstorming and looking at different potential slogans and logos. And by my recollection, kind of thinking about how that went, back at that time, a lot of the businesses that we would approach, a lot of the big ones that today do come out to the village, would say things like Bartlett's too far out from the urban core, or they're not pushing this far west yet, or they're not pushing, out to this area past a certain suburban core that was getting built out at that time. So we would hear that it was too far out a lot, which is, I think, one of the reasons that we eventually settled on that never far away. So as development has continued expanding over the years and this issue has declined, the village has been better able to distinguish itself, meaning ourselves, from the surrounding suburbs. So it's time once again for us to start thinking about adopting a new branding strategy. So next slide, please, Joey. And so this is a lot of words on a little page, kind of crammed in. So I'm going to hit some of the highlights about branding. I kind of already mentioned that the key aspect to it is differentiating your community from the others. So that's point number one. A new logo and a tagline. For instance, if we just start putting a different logo, now you can see that we always use, kind of hard to see, the never far away. That's what we've been using on hundreds and hundreds of ads and documents of all sorts, whether it's Brewster Creek Business Park, whether it's dining advertisements or commercials that we're running. But the logo in itself is not saying, here's the new logo, here's our new branding. It's part of an overall marketing strategy. So that's a key component of it, but it's not a strategy in itself. It's something we would have to use in all types of different marketing initiatives, whether it's video or print advertisements, social media, whatever the case may be. Point number 3, this is from me, some points I took from reading a lot about branding last week, that it also should reflect what others think of you and what others say about you. You can't just patently declare that you're the best at this or the best at that. You know, it has to be something that is well known about you. And then when I think about that in terms of our marketing, with all the BEDA grants we do with restaurants and all the big food companies that come into the business parks, just kind of makes me conjure up food images when I think about things that other towns think about Bartlett when it comes to a business sense. Of course, it's a lot more than that from a community-wide sense. The safety of the town, the family-natured or orientation of Bartlett, but again, it's what others also say about you, not just the image that you want to necessarily project yourself. Point number 4, and this is an important one because a lot of economic development, we think about how we're marketing ourselves or pitching ourselves to new investors, the big businesses like Rana and Greco and ITW and McKesson and people like that that come into our business park, as well as new restaurants like Culver's and others that we try to attract to our town. But it's not just an external message in that sense, but something that we should use internally a lot. Something that resonates with the residents of the town as well, is just trying to use it from a marketing perspective. And then number 5, obviously, is it needs buy-in. It has to be something that people can feel kind of an affinity towards and like they can get behind the branding of it. That's an important aspect for me to bring up, especially to you 7 on the call tonight, is economic development commissioners. You know, it's not necessarily going to be an easy thing, but we want to have something that many of us can buy into. The village board, the Chamber of Commerce, the businesses that are in our town and the businesses we're trying to attract. So it needs buy-in. People who live and have businesses in Bartlett, like Peggy O'Hare Vance and Bill Vance that we just heard from, they have a great amount of pride in the community, much as you folks do. And we want to have our branding reflecting that, is what I'm trying to say. So involving some stakeholders in it over the coming months might be something we can do to help make it, to help people be more likely to embrace the brand. And like I said, we're not just talking about a new logo. We're talking about, you know, branding strategy as well. How are we going to use it? Maybe different branding for different parts of the town, or different types of industries that we're working with. Is there another slide, Joey? And so since, like I said, I've just kind of given a kind of a 10,000 foot high overview, kind of quick synopsis of what branding is and how it is that we want to use it. This is something that tonight I just am asking you folks to start thinking about. And then at an upcoming meeting, I'll probably, you know, I mean, we'll talk about it now, but maybe flush it out a little bit more so you can come back with some ideas about elements that you think would help give us a successful branding strategy. So I'm really hoping to hear from each and every one of the commissioners, as well as the 2 who aren't here on the call tonight, about what some of their ideas, what we should be incorporating. So again, I mentioned some obvious ones, what people say about Bartlett when you're meeting with friends or meeting somebody who lives 5 or 10 towns away or in Chicago or in another state. A lot of people know about the high level of safety in the community. As I always mention, anytime I tell a new person about Bartlett, the family-oriented nature of the community, the active sports and recreational communities, and like I said, from a business standpoint, I'm just thinking about food all the time with the restaurants, the bakery. The next BEDA grant we have will be another food and beverage type of applicant. So again, we're really growing our food industry pretty quickly, even considering the pandemic going on. So with that, there's my introduction to branding, and I'd love to hear any ideas or suggestions as we go over this in the coming meetings.
Can you guys hear me better now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
All right, good. Yeah, I'm totally on my phone now, and I turned off my speaker. Tony, you had mentioned something early in your opening here, and so if you couldn't hear me, I've typed in chat already. Do the stores attract the residents, or do the residents attract the stores? Because you had talked about housing developers that will develop if we have stores. So what's the approach here? Are we trying to attract the stores, or are we trying to attract the residents? That's
a really good question and a really hard one, and it gets to the crux of the matter, really, because well, the quick answer is some of both. A lot of the branding, when I think of how we use it, a lot of times it's at trade shows, it's on marketing materials, it's at things that we're trying to capture somebody's attention. Like I said, imagine Scott and I at an ICSC show with 55 other towns, and everybody's trying to like tell somebody within about a minute about their town. So there's that sense of it too, okay? I mean, that's what a lot of the towns use their branding for. But also, like you said, the second part of your question, is it the people or is it the businesses? The residents, it seems that over the years, Bartlett's been able to attract a lot of residents more easily than a lot of the businesses. And the businesses typically look at demographics. And we do, the EDC looks really hard at the demographics of the town every year. We'll be doing that soon. But it's kind of a long answer, but it's used in marketing, both externally and internally. So that's the hard part about it, is that we want something that resonates with both. You don't want something that's just purely like a business slogan, and you probably even more so don't want something that's just like a slogan like it's a nice place to live or a family community or something like that. It's something I think for our purposes, we want to use maybe a little bit more towards the business side of things.
So from that standpoint, my first thought was, something having to do with opportunity. And I don't know how that differentiates us based on everything you just said, but I really feel like there's opportunity here. I mean, you've got plenty of land to work with, and plenty of space for retailers and businesses to come in. So there's great opportunity.
Absolutely. That's a good point, almost good enough for us to build off of, but we're definitely gonna try to incorporate that aspect of it into our branding. Opportunity is key.
Yeah, I totally agree. As somebody who was here 15 years ago when we went from Progress with Pride and those two pairs, that when I moved to this village, I was like, what is that? And we ended up with our lovely new one, Never Far Away. And that was when Town Center was coming in, and it was so controversial. And we're doing this, and it was so good. We took so many of the words, and Never Far Away, and I'm kind of attached to it because I was there when we did it, and it was a great thing. But it's been 15 years, never far away. It's time to move on and get something different. And that makes me think about 15 years ago. we didn't have social media. We didn't have the presence that we have in this village. We didn't have all of the support of our residents and our restaurants and our businesses. I'm kind of wondering if this would be a great time to kind of put it out there on Discover Bartlett and say, what are your thoughts? What are you guys thinking? You know, what brought you to Bartlett?
I think Commissioner Erickson brings up a really good point in that marketing, you know, in any industry is a little bit more nuanced today. And I think that, you know, moving forward, rather than a gimmicky slogan, I think authenticity is really going to sing to those that we're speaking to, whether it be developers or new residents or small businesses and restaurants. So I think that that's a great idea, that, you know, perhaps we reach out to the community at large and maybe get them to maybe tell a good story about, you know, why Bartlett, why Bartlett works for them.
I would agree. I think Kirsten has a great idea. I think there's a lot of creativity out there, and let's hear from the people that live and work in the town.
Yeah, I really like a "We Are Bartlett" kind of thing. Let's get their information. Let's get their ideas. Let's hear from, you know, the people that have invested, like the Vances. You know, let's hear from people that have just decided to move here, because it is kind of a bedroom community in a way, but we've started to attract these amazing restaurants, and we're competing with St. Charles, and we are a destination. Let's hear what these people have to say. Let's see what's going on, because 15 years ago, you know, it was a great idea to be never far away, but what is it now? What's more authentic? What do our people think of us?
Yeah, and I think storytelling is really the way to do that.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think that really could be an amazing thing, because that's who we are.
Great points.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, consumers aren't stupid. I mean, you know, whether you're you're a developer consumer, or you live in the town over and you're thinking about coming into Bartlett either to live or to dine. So I think if anybody thinks that we're making something up or falsifying the brand of Bartlett, they'll catch on to that. But so I think when it's actually coming from either business owners, you know, maybe the real estate community, and certainly the residents, I think that's going to be a great springboard to attract people.
Yeah, I agree, Tracy. And I think the whole thing about keeping your sales tax dollars here in the village, you know, why are you getting gas in South Elgin when you're driving there? Couldn't you stop in Bartlett and get the gas? You know, just little things that people don't necessarily think of, that we can really kind of tie in of who we are and how we support this village. And, you know, you talked about earlier about how amazing it is that we have these grants. And, you know, I mean, we've done a lot during this pandemic to support businesses. I think we really need to use that as our platform of how we are business friendly, because Bartlett has a little bit of a reputation with some businesses of not being as business friendly, because we have a certain way that we want things done, and we want to make sure things are up to code, which is fine, and that's the way that it should be. But I think this is a great way of getting people to understand that this is how you support the village. You know, it really is more than just any one of us.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that consumers today maybe even want to grasp onto values within the community. Tony, in the packet, you had talked about, you know, us being one of the safest towns in America. I think that speaks very, very highly to our commitment to you know, the wholesomeness of the community, and certainly the safety of our families and our residents. You know, I'd also say that, you know, we have a tendency to commit to the excellence and the success of our businesses. So, you know, as Kirsten had mentioned, yeah, maybe we had a little bit of a bad rap in the past, but I think that everybody aspires to do better. And again, I think it is that we do strive for excellence.
All good points. Are there any other also commissioners that want to comment on it at this time?
I still think this, Joe, we still kind of need to brag a little bit about Brewster Creek and all the success we've had over there. I think the general population, excuse me, thinks of Bartlett as the retail businesses, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in addition to that, the number of people we employ that spend their money at lunchtime or after work or go grocery shopping. I mean, there's a whole nother story there that I don't think gets out. It's more centralized to the downtown area, but we're much bigger than the downtown area.
I agree. You bring up a great point. Brewster Creek is amazing, and I don't think we brag about it enough. And that is something that Tony needs for EDC to really kind of be able to, when he's going to all these shows, to say, look at what this village has going on, because Brewster Creek is an amazing business park. And I don't think the residents see much beyond, oh, it's truck traffic. They don't realize, like you said, Joe, the business count that's bringing in, how many daytime, how many lunches, how many people are stopping and buying their groceries here. I don't think it's correlated from, oh yeah, there's a truck on the street, but by the way, that truck on the street has how many people that are working at that business. And do you know how many people are employed at all these businesses there? So I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think that people just see it as a nuisance and they don't understand how amazing it is to contribute to this village.
Oh, Rana pasta. I mean, they make the
Oh my
pasta
God.
for Olive
Yum.
Garden, like those are good bragging rights. I mean, we got to market that, in my opinion, like you said.
Yeah. I want to pipe in there. Like, I mean, obviously 2020, we spoke a lot at the EDC about how there weren't any of the usual trade shows and meeting venues that we used to always go to. Bartlett was rising quickly in the industrial realm, still is. It's just that we don't have those venues now where we have those trade shows where we can go kind of brag about it. But so in the industrial real estate realm, Brewster Creek and Bartlett, is pretty well known in the Chicago area. And it's largely due to some of the institutional investors that have come in that are really well known, like Exeter Properties and Ridge Properties and Logistics Property Group. So I wanted to mention that. You're right. So we were talking about internally branding and externally. In that regard, we're doing very well externally marketing Brewster Creek. But you're right, internally, we're not really marketing it. It's been focused on attracting businesses and investors.
And I would say the approach might be well, what does it mean to me? As a resident of Bartlett, what does Brewster Creek do or mean to me?
Right.
Why is it important that Brewster Creek is successful in Bartlett? Well,
I love that. That's so important.
That's something we can work on getting the word out better this year.
Well, I think I think that in terms of branding, it starts with a central theme. And, if there's an opportunity to maybe put a few building blocks together around that theme of, again, whatever it is. And sometimes it starts with a basic slogan. And, what comes to my mind right now is like WTTW, which has branded itself as window to the world. I think that, a slogan like that is not only powerful, but it's pretty omnipresent in the community, in that it talks about, when they interview those people, when it's like, hey, I'm Tracy and you're watching WTTW, and I've got little children around me, then I'm conveying that children's programming is important. Certainly you're going to have somebody that might, be on a hockey rink and they'll skate up. So, and obviously we know about the culturalism with WTTW. And so I think that if we come up with just, again, a small slogan, we can put blocks of communication around that I think can very eloquently tell a story about Bartlett.
Absolutely. That's what we're striving to do. I think it was the first commissioner who spoke. Was it Commissioner Gorski mentioned opportunity? And I just personally love that word to build around. And if any of you, again, we're not going to come up with the slogan tonight or the whole strategy, but think about it. You don't have to wait till the next EDC meeting to send an idea to me and or Scott if something comes to your mind in the middle of the night or over the weekend. But those are all great points that you made. You all understand it well too, so that's good. It's a lot different than it was 15 years ago. You're right, and this is something hopefully we can use throughout the rest of the 20s. I would hope a strong brand, something that people start recognizing us for. So that's the ultimate goal.
Is there any place that has stats for Brewster Creek? I mean, I know they change all the time, but as to how many businesses there are in Brewster Creek and approximately how many people are employed?
Yeah, we tally that typically on an annual basis. The businesses, you all know, they're required to obtain business licenses in Bartlett. So the number has been holding steady at mid 70s in terms of businesses for the last few years. We've been adding a couple here and there at a time, but really some big ones coming in of late. And in terms of the numbers of employees in Brewster Creek, that's something I'm going to have to order. If you recall, early every year, we typically do a meeting that's like the economic indicators, where we all put on our economist hat. And I'll be doing that, bringing that to the EDC within the next couple of months. But the numbers basically village-wide. Last year, if you recall, was the first year we were getting to about 10,000 total daytime population employees in Bartlett. I know that it's a relatively lower number than most of the surrounding communities, but it's something that we've been growing steadily. Every year I've been reporting it for the last 4 years, it's been increasing. So long story short, probably in about the 7,000 to 8,000 range in Brewster Creek. So, that's why we want to bring in these businesses like McKesson that we worked so many years trying to get into town so we could help build that up.
Tony, I think this is a great first discussion about rebranding. I love us moving away from never far away. 15 years is a long time for a slogan to live. And I really do want to seek the input from Discover Bartlett, because I think we get so much good information there. I think there's a lot of great comments. I think that us as commissioners, there's items that residents and businesses are going to say that we could kind of use to really get where we need to go.
Yes, we'll use the village has several means of communications and I don't know why we wouldn't utilize all of them. We'll try to get some of that input and get some of those good ideas from outside of the staff and EDC as well.
And Nan, can we reach out to the chamber and also ask, what brought them to Bartlett? What keeps them in Bartlett? What makes them a Bartlett business?
Of course, we'd be happy to work with you. And the reason I asked about Brewster Creek is because we're working on our directory right now. We're just kind of finishing it up, but I do have a couple spots that I can put some information in. And I'm just wondering how we can put some of this in one of those spots about Brewster Creek. And, we print 15,000 directories.
Yeah.
Get most of them out every year. So, I think it would be a good area that we could fill with some information.
I want to add something to this, Joe, again. It wouldn't hurt to reach out to the board and to the mayor and to the administrator. I mean, they're all Bartlett people. They have a core group of friends, a core following. If you look at what's successful in Bartlett, you have golf outings. It's the same core of people. Whether it's a chamber golf outing or a neighbor's golf outing, it's a good community. The people are solid. We need to capitalize on the people that love and support Bartlett already. Just my 2 cents.
Great point, Joe. I mean, that's what gets us here. I mean, that's also that part of that bedroom community. You know, we're trying to attract business, but we're also trying to educate our residents to spend money in this village.
This is Commissioner Hughes. I'd just like to add too, just listening to what everyone's saying and just jotting down some of these words. I think a lot of, what everyone is saying is related to connection, right? Or connecting. I think about all of the families that we're connected with, right? So we'll ride our bike to the streets of Bartlett and we'll go for tacos and the table next to us, it's a family that we know, and then we'll go get ice cream, down the way, and we see another family, and, talking to families on the soccer field, and it's, oh yeah, can you take my kid here? Can you pick up the kid and drop them off? And, that's related to the family, the sports, the food, but also related to the business, right? So as we face the pandemic, you are connecting businesses to resources so that they can stay in business, and, connecting people to other businesses, and there's a lot of connection that occurs within Bartlett, and you're saying, let's go to Discover Bartlett and connect with our residents, because now we're connected through communications that weren't there 15 years ago. So, there's a lot of connections that are occurring. I think, that could be something that we could maybe talk about too.
Michelle, I love that. Connections and opportunities, that's what we need. That's the core. Those 2 words, that's who Bartlett is. Connecting opportunities. Oh,
ooh, yeah, there you go.
That's a good
We
slogan.
literally almost already have our slogan.
That's it.
Well, here,
By the way, I think I was the person who came up with Never Far Away.
She was. Yeah, I reminded Kristen of that last week.
well, if you look up the definition of community, it's a group of people with a common characteristic or interest in living together with a larger society. So community could be tied in that.
Yeah. It's so who we are. I mean, we have this business area, but we have all of these residents. And I mean, it's always been a great bedroom community. That's what brought me here. That's what made me build this house. And then seeing all these businesses, like Peggy and Bill, I don't want to go to another restaurant. I'd rather spend my money with a local family and give it back to somebody else. I mean, yeah, the Olive Garden's great, but Pasta Mia is better because it's supporting a family, not a corporation. And there's nothing wrong with corporations by any means. I'm not saying that. But those who invest should be invested upon. So I think we've got some good stuff, guys.
That's really the main focus of our guide this year. We always try to say that, and it's always difficult for Small Business Saturday when they say, what are you doing? Are you going to make a big deal out of it? When that's what we do all year long. Support local, support the small guys. So to do it on a Saturday and make a big deal is just not a big deal to us because we do it all. But we're really, we have even more of it this year, and how important it is to keep it local and keep those tax dollars in town and support fellow neighbors that have those businesses, and just the sense of community and supporting one another is really our main focus, particularly this year.
Well, I think we have some good first steps. I think, Tony, if you guys can think of something to put out on Discover Bartlett, and we can get some resident input, and then we can kind of come back and have some more of this conversation. I think this was some great first conversation. I think there were some really incredible words that came up. I think there's great thoughts that all of you guys shared. And boy, I'm looking forward to almost as much, because I'm telling you, when I first came and it was Progress with Pride with those pears, and then we went to Never Far Away. I'm really looking forward to getting rid of Never Far Away. So it's gonna be a good thing. It's gonna be a good thing. It served us well. 15 years is a long time, guys. So
It is.
All right. Anyone else have any other discussions about branding? All right, Tony, anything for new business?
Yes. We had a new business do a ribbon cutting this morning at 9:30. You all have been asking about this, and besides just having the coolness of having a Culver's in town now, how cool is it? But to be able to work with these developers and Ashish Merchant and his wife, do you remember her name, Scott? Ambrose? Throughout the course of the pandemic, we met with them maybe in late January, and then maybe again in late February. And then besides that, our meetings with them were over Zoom and emails, and their plans were submitted electronically. And just these people really, really display perseverance and are putting their best foot forward. It's a beautiful building, by the way. This is the latest prototype restaurant that Culver's has. And what more can I say? It's a business that a lot of people have wanted in town for many years, and we finally have one. So kind of piggybacking again on our branding discussion, this is something we want to include in marketing, in our Dine Local marketing campaigns whenever we do it, to make sure that people go to the Culver's in Bartlett, don't go to the one in another town. We have one here. Or a comparable business that you might think you'd rather drive out of town for. These people made a very significant investment in town, and there's other new businesses coming, but this is a very notable one, and they're open to the public today.
And of course, I never miss the opportunity to brag about the staff and the mayor and the board and you folks as well. When we were there, Culver's corporate was there, of course, and they had said they worked with 24 towns and that we were the most welcoming and easiest to work with. Now, do they go around and say that at the other towns? Maybe. They probably do at some of them, but, nevertheless, they said it. And that made us feel really good. And I think we are turning the tide on that reputation of being business friendly. And I think over the last several years, I think it's slowly becoming a strength. I think we've turned the tide, and we're going to continue to do that with the support of you guys and the board. And I think we're going to be known as business friendly instead of business unfriendly. So it was exciting to hear those words from him, and I think it's going to do great.
You beat me to the punch, Scott. I was going to say the same thing, that he talked at length about how wonderful it was to work with Bartlett. And I have to say that as the chamber, I hear that a lot, and you don't hear it about all the towns. But in particular, Tony and Scott, he sounds like he couldn't say enough about you two and how you've helped them. And yeah, it made me proud. You guys really work hard again. And I say that all the time, but it was nice to hear somebody else say it as well.
I love that. And we really need to get more leverage from that, more play, and really put that into our Discover Bartlett and our media, and just kind of squash what people thought, because obviously when you're opening a business, there's red tape and in everywhere. So I think the more that we can have that success and those stories, and, to your point, yes, don't go to St. Charles to have Culver's. It's right here on 59. You don't have to go to North Avenue. I think it's fantastic for us just to really kind of remind people, keep it in Bartlett. Oh, connecting opportunities, keep it local.
Very good. That's only new business I wanted to mention tonight.
You don't want to bring back the pears?
No, I do not. Can I tell you, when I first got on EDC and that logo, and I had just moved here, and I was like, what is this? Can we get rid of this Discover Bartlett? I'm like, discover what? There's no pear trees. I would have thought that this was a village that was like a farming community that grew pears. It was so weird. So no, I'm so and just like I was happy to see that go, I am so happy to see Never Far Away go, and I cannot wait to hear what all of us come up with. and decide on as a group to move forward with. It's such an exciting time. It's so different. 15 years ago, we did not have this play of social media and all of its great input. So you guys, let's just really think of something amazing that just puts Bartlett ahead of everything. All right, does anyone else have anything for new business? That's all Tony had. All right, well then maybe we should entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Tracy.
Second.
Who
Second.
seconded? Okay, all right. So moved. Aye.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great night and keep thinking of how to move Bartlett forward.
Sounds good.
Thank
Aye.
you. Have a
Sounds
good
good.
Good night.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, guys.